So this presentation is all about how I move my business online. I'm Joy Foster. I am the founder and visionary of TechPixies.com, and it's at TechPixies on social if you want to go follow us there. And we got Mike Jennings in the house. Oh my gosh, I've got awesome people here today. You guys are in good hands. All right, let's just make sure this works. Okay, so let me know in the comments. You can just put a 1, 2, or a 3. 1, you are currently running a face-to-face business and want to move it online, or want to move an aspect of that online. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, you're already running an online business, but you're not getting the traction you'd like. And then put number 3 in the comments if you are thinking about starting an online business, but are overwhelmed as to where to start and what to do first. Okay, Mel Cunningham says number 2, already running an online business, but not getting the traction you'd like. Oh, Mel, this is your talk. I have been there. You're going to hear my story in a minute. So anybody else? Number 1, currently running a business that's face-to-face, want to move it or an element of it online. Number 2, already running it and not getting the traction you want. Or number 3, thinking about starting a business but are overwhelmed. Come on, guys, give me some comments, because this is more fun for me if you're engaged, right? Come back, and it's really easy in these online things to just like pretend like you're listening and go do other things. I want you engaged. All right, so let me know in the comments, 1, 2, or 3. Robert says 1 question mark. I love that, Robert. Okay, so let's just think about what that question mark is. You might not be sure that you want to move online. That could be what that question mark's coming from. And Helen says, number 1, currently running a face-to-face business. Perfect. I'm going to talk exactly about that, Helen. So that's awesome. And Stephen is number 1. Thank you, Stephen. All right, awesome. All right, so my promise in the next 18 minutes is that the goal of our time together is to help you to move your business online, or an element of your business online, and to help you get the traction that you need to make it successful. Sound good? You getting excited about that? Because that is what I'm here for. Okay, so this session is unique and different from other ones that you've probably been to, because I'm going to share my personal story. I'm going to give you a deep dive into some of my big mistakes. Who likes to talk about mistakes? I think I've gone to so many of these conferences and people don't talk about their mistakes. They just tell you about all the rosy stuff. I'm not going to tell you about the rosy stuff. I'm going to tell you about my mistakes. So if you want to hear about my mistakes, give me a big yes in the comments. And then number 3, I'm going to leave you with action steps that if you do them, you will get results. Oh, we're getting big yeses here from Helen and Stephen. That is so good. That is so good. All right. So Joe is saying she had to move her fundraising to more online focus during this time. Interested to know to keep momentum going. That's great. Lisa, just make a note for you and me at the end when I open up to questions that I talk about doing live video. Yeah, that would be really important. So just make a note of that and then remind me at the end. I will forget. So I know you're after engagement. All right, awesome. We'll talk about that. So who is this for? Well, you're going to get a ton of value out of today if you want to move your business online, if you've already moved your business online, or you're thinking about launching an online business in the near future. So here are the challenges that you're probably experiencing in moving your business online. You have built a website, but no one is coming to it. You have invested in social media, but aren't seeing an ROI. So if you don't know what ROI is, that's return on investment. I think you guys are all business folks, so you'll know what that is. Or the third challenge that you're probably facing is that the tech involved to grow your business feels overwhelming, right? There's too many moving parts. And I have felt that, and I know exactly what that feels like. So the desires that you probably have with regards to moving your business online are, you want a website that converts visitors into customers. You want social media that converts followers into customers. And you want simple tech solutions that mean you don't have to raise investment or go into debt to build your business. So before I tell you my story, can I just get a yes if this resonates with anyone? These are some of the desires that you want in moving online. Oh, yes, lots of yeses. Yes from Paul Brooks. Yes from Joe Faulkner. Yes, I love it. Okay, yes from Helen. Yes from Stephen. Good. Thank you, guys. I need those yeses because it helps me to keep moving forwards. Mike says, yes to all that. I'm sparkling. I love that. Yeah, so Mike Jennings is amazing. And I hope if he's talked, you've heard him. He is incredible. He helped us set the values for our company, which sit in the word sparkle. So supportive, positive, authentic relationships with women who are keen to learn. And there's a great podcast episode on our website, techpixies.com/blog. And you can find that there. Yeah, Mike's awesome. All right. So let me tell you about the before and after story. So this is going back to 2015. So before now, we were a face-to-face course in Oxford. I had a goal of helping 12 women upskill with social media and digital marketing skills. I told a friend about it who is Tony Hart. And Tony's not here today, but some of you may have crossed paths with Tony. And he told me about this grant. So I applied for a grant, and that's how we funded the first program. So this was way back 5 years ago. And I also secured free space at Grant Thornton, also through a Oxford contact named Mike Evans. He's awesome. Mark Evans. I've got my Mikes and Marks confused. There's too many of them. They're so cool. So Mark Evans got me in touch with Grant Thornton, and they gave me free space. So we really had a lot of support in the early days through the Oxford community, which is why I really feel it's important to give back to the Oxford community, and that's why I'm doing this event. Paul Essery is here. He's in the house. Paul, I'm so excited you're here. So actually, I know Paul through Mark Evans, who I was just talking about. So the course was a 5-month-long course. It was 4 hours a week. It was face-to-face. And then at the end of cohort 1, Helen Moss Black, which I don't know if you can see my mouse, but Helen is in the scarf, in the green shirt, and in the back row. She said, this needs to go online. And I said, no way. I said, it will not work online. It's only going to work face-to-face. There's no way I'm moving it online. And that obviously has changed. So let's talk about what it is now. So TechPixies is fully online, serving over 350 women across the UK and beyond. And actually, that number has gone up. I didn't change the slide. We just brought in another 100 women to our program. So over 450 women now are in our program across the UK and beyond. And we were recently named Digital Course of the Year by Digital Women, which is very exciting. And we basically provide a higher quality service for a lot less the cost because we've moved online. Women can still learn in a group. There's no commuting, no childcare required. I'm no longer needing to commute either, and I only commute when I want to. And of course, no one's commuting right now, so we moved our business online at the perfect time about 2 years ago. We can scale the program now across the UK, and we're thinking about moving globally in 2021. And that gives us the ability to positively impact the lives of thousands of women. So the reason that the original program we had was not viable for me long-term was that the cost to deliver it was way too high. To fund people to come in to teach and to have limited number of people in the class because there was limited space, it was just too high. There was limited market size and a huge risk of saturation in the local market. And then there were challenges with keeping quality control. So I even thought about franchising it, which would have stayed franchised as a face-to-face program, but I couldn't do that because I was afraid we would lose quality control and we would get people in that didn't have the same training that I did, and then we would have almost like a decentralized training system, and I didn't want that. And that all leads to limited impact. So one of the big eye-opening things for me in terms of moving online was I went out to lunch with some amazing Indian entrepreneurs who came to Oxford, who Mark Evans introduced me to. And we were talking about building online businesses, and she said, "Oh, what's your, who are you? How many people are you trying to reach and help?" And at the time, I was like, "Oh, I'd really like to help 2,000 women." And I said, "What about you?" And she's like, "Oh, well, in our first year, we want to help 30,000." And I was just like, "Whoa, mind blown! Like you can help literally tens of thousands of people, and in India, you have to do it online, and it like for lots of reasons, but you can help 30,000 women online. That's incredible." So I had a really amazing experience with that, and this is why it wasn't viable for me. And Paul will know this because I did one of his big gigs, which by the way are awesome. If you've never done them, I've done them a couple times and absolutely love them. Loved giving advice to other people, but also been humbled by advice I've been given. But it was very hard for me to convince a room of people that I needed to go beyond Oxford. But I knew in my heart of hearts that these things were the reasons why it wasn't going to work face-to-face for me long-term. So before we go any further, I just want to make sure everyone's still here, that this is making sense. So if you can relate to this, can you put a 1 to 10 in the comments? So like a 10 if it's a hell yeah, totally relates. 10.5, Stephen, I love it. You're great. Okay, 10.5, big time 10, Paul Brooks. Yeah, that's right. Exactly. So that's, yeah, perfect. Sally Green, a 9. Yeah, exactly. Good. Well, Frank's here. Yay. Hi, Frank. 10. Helen's an 8. Awesome. Mel's a 9. I love seeing all my friends. I feel like I want to see you, and well, I can bring you on screen actually. I think I'm allowed to do that. Okay. So thank you for letting me know where you are in this journey. This is really helpful to me. Paul says 9 plus 2. That's awesome. Okay, so remember the goal of our time together is to help you move your business online and get the traction you need to make it successful. And I've only got 10 more minutes. So are you ready to learn from my mistakes? Can I get a hell yeah in the comments if you'd like to know my mistakes? This is me being raw and vulnerable here. So I want to make sure that I'm, yeah, okay, we're getting hell yes, good. Yeah, and yeses. Okay, well, see, the yes is the very like British like way. The hell yeah is, so actually the hell yeah is kind of Australian. So yeah, the best bit. The best bit. Mike says my mistakes are the best bit. Yeah, failure. One of my friends said it's for all I have learned, and I love that. So here's the big mistake people make, and mistakes I've made, and I'll get to that in a second. People think they need a fancy website, they need a huge following and and they think they need streamlined tech to move their business online. And this creates two things. One, it overwhelms them and stops them from making progress, right? Like this is a big one, a big one. And the second thing that this causes is it costs them a lot of money because they have to bring in experts to do their website and social media. So does this resonate with you? Which one, overwhelm or money? I'd love to know in the comments, overwhelm or money. But often what happens when you get faced with all of these things is you freeze and you don't do anything. Yeah, Steven says both, yeah. And I'm not saying that websites are bad and social media is bad. I teach social media. I believe in social media. I believe in the power of social media. But I also just know these are mistakes people are making. Yeah, Helen says money. Joe says both. Steven says both. Yeah, Robert says setup time. Yes, I'm going to talk about that in a second, Robert. Okay, so at TechPixies, I made these mistakes. And I see others make them all the time too. So the two things I focused on in the early days that really cost me were building a platform from scratch when I now know that there are free and low-cost tools out there to help you move online. I also focused on growing my social media following, but never thought about how to collect their email addresses. I think this is a big mistake that a lot of people make. So the negative impact of these mistakes meant that it cost me a lot of money to build a platform. It cost me 24,000 pounds to build my platform. It took 6 months away from revenue generating activities because basically I felt, and which is totally not true, but I felt like I couldn't sell my product online until the platform was built. So Steven, I think you totally can relate to that because that's what you were just saying. Or no, Robert was saying setup time. So like this should really resonate with you. And then I grew much, much slower as a result of not collecting email addresses for my social media following and my website visitors. Robert's saying gulp and Joe is saying ouch. Yes, exactly. Now, I am benefiting massively from those investments now, but but knowing what I know now, we didn't need to do that. And that's one of the things that I wanted to come on here and say. All right, so has anyone else made these mistakes? So I want to know if you've made these mistakes. So a lot of money or you're growing really slow because of it. Okay, so we kind of went through that already. So let me give you a little bit of a case study. Yeah, Steven says slow. Sally says yep to both. Awesome. Thank you, guys. All right. So let me give you a case study here. And that is that in April, this is like well, it's just started to be June now. So about a month and a half ago, right after the coronavirus lockdown, I wanted to do something to help. So I decided I was going to run a free training program entirely on Zoom, and I enhanced this experience with a Facebook group. So I did not use my platform for this free training program. And this is really important that you understand this. I did not use my platform for this program. I did use Facebook ads. I generated 4,000 signups and over 1,000 women showed up for my 4-part 2-week free training program. Now, we had 110 women sign up at the end of those 2 weeks to carry on the journey, and that led to our first multiple six-figure launch. So that's the part that I think for those of you who are business owners, this matters to you. Like, how can I do the tech without spending a boatload of money, and then how do we turn that into money? And that works in 2 ways. 1, so that your business is profitable and sustainable and you can keep serving people, and 2, that you get to serve more people. Yeah? So Jennifer says, why did I not use my platform for the free training? That is such a great question. So the platform requires that you have to log in, you have to know how to navigate it, and I knew that that was going to be overwhelming for people who were going through our free training program. I also knew, because we'd run all of our ads on Facebook, that all of our users were on Facebook already. So I leveraged the power of Facebook groups, and they now have units in the Facebook groups where you can literally create an entire course online in a unit with the units in a Facebook group. And I just knew that if I did that, I would be working in a space they were familiar with and not having to educate them on coming over to our platform to learn how to use it. So that's exactly why I did that. I hope that answers that question. Okay, when were you using Zoom? Oh no, that's not a stupid question. Okay, let me come back to that. So what I did was I did a 4-part free training series, and there's a book called Launch. It's by Jeff Walker. 100% Steven, you should go buy it. Like, don't even think about it, go buy it. And he teaches you how to write what's called a sideways sales letter. And basically what I did was I created an ad on Facebook, and I said, I have a free training program that's going to run over the next 2 weeks. And I did it about 10 days before we launched the free training program. And I said, if you want to join the free training program, just fill out this form. And I asked their email, their first name, their last name, and I asked about how they heard about us. And then I sent them an email confirmation that they were in the free training. And then I had a whole series of emails that went out to them before we did the free training, and then during the free training, and then when we made the offer to our bigger program, I then sent a series of emails until we closed the cart on that offer. So in the online course world, which is what I'm in, you have an open cart, closed cart. But the book launch talks about how you can launch any product online using this method, and he literally spells it out in the book. I did a 20,000 pound launch. Again, I'm in business speak right now. When I talk to my students and when I talk about my students, I talk about the impact we make. But when I'm in a business environment, I switch a little bit more to the numbers because I know that's what you care about. But using Jeff Walker's book, Launch, and about 1,000 pounds of ad spend, I had a 20,000 pound launch. So his book works and his methods work, and they work really well with a British audience. And let me just say that as well. Like, I've done webinar launches and I've done sideways sales letter launches, this product launch formula launch. And the British audience does not love the webinar sales. American audiences love it. British audiences definitely prefer a much more eased in approach. So I hope that really helps. But Zoom, what I did was I did the 4 free training sessions on Zoom. And then what I did was I sent out recaps of those videos in my emails that went out to people. And then I put the recaps into the Facebook group. And I said, look, if you want to go watch the recaps, go into the Facebook group and watch those. I also put them up on Vimeo. And then we had conversation and community that continued around those 4 big free trainings that were all in Zoom. So I hope that really helps. Yeah, okay, cool. It looks like, yeah, great. Steven's brought in the book link. Definitely go get the book launch. That's always the first thing I tell people, go get the book launch. Okay, so that's my case study. It was amazing because I did it right in the middle of the coronavirus. So you can't tell me that online businesses aren't working in the coronavirus. They absolutely are. And in fact, all the people I know are having bigger growth in their business than they've ever had or experienced. So what I know now and want to share with you today is, thanks, Lisa. What I know now and want to share with you today is that you should absolutely be leveraging the software that exists right now to move your business online. You should be leveraging Zoom. You should be leveraging Facebook groups. Those are my top 2 picks. You should also learn how to list build. And that's a big one for me. So let's just review the 2 main takeaways from today. Number 1, you do not need fancy, overwhelming tech to launch online business. And number 2, you should learn how to list build. And list building is literally taking your social media following and turning them into emails. You can do that organically, or you can do that with paid advertising. I had to do an online course on how to do that. But I want you to tell me in the comments what's been most valuable to you. Number 1, knowing you don't need fancy, overwhelming tech, or number 2, that you should learn how to list build. Okay, so Stephen says my case study. I love that. Thank you, Stephen. I love that that's resonated with you. Okay, awesome. So I want you to take action today. Jeff's book. Thank you, Robert. Yes, such a good book. He's such a down-to-earth guy. He's also from Colorado, which is where I happen to be from, which is so cool. And you love my success and honesty. I love that. And I have to tell you, I wouldn't be here if it weren't for some of the amazing men in this room and women in this room who've helped me. So, Mike Jennings, Paul Esri, they have been, Mark Evans, Tony Hart, and my team, my amazing team, Lisa, Natalie. We've got an incredible, incredible team that helps as well. And most of our team has come to our program, which is so exciting. But, it's really important to bring people around you that believe in you. So if you want to know more about how I built my business online, I have a much more comprehensive training. It's techpixies.com/move online. And it's not the 20-minute overview. It's the 1-hour overview. So definitely go check that out. And then also follow me on Instagram and DM me, or send me an email and tell me your key takeaway from today. And then I want you to do these 3 steps. I want you to take those steps. I want you to take those 2 steps, because I think if you take them, what's going to happen is 3 days from now, you'll know a lot more about moving your business online if you go watch my Move Online workshop. 3 weeks from now, hopefully you'll have started list building. I teach you how to do that in my, I teach you what the steps are to do that in my larger course that's free. It's a workshop. And then 3 months from now, you'll have made money from launching your business. And I promise you, if you follow these steps, it's real for you. It's a reality. And of course, I'm here for you, joy.foster@techpixies.com. So thank you for being an awesome audience, and don't forget to take action. And my big famous quote is that inaction is the death of dreams. So definitely don't put yourself in that position.